yeah, first Chelsea goal. Like I was sitting with my favorite Brighton fan. I was waxing lyrical about Yelena Jankovic. I was like,
Yeah,
Jankovic is
yeah,
like a very underrated player. She's very press resistant. She never loses a ball. Extremely good passing. And then like 10 seconds later, she gets dispossessed, and we score our
yeah.
first goal. And I was just like, oh my god. And she wanted to kill me. She was like, you
Yeah.
are lying to
You,
me.
you are the jinx.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel, All About the W. My name is Kai. I am joined, as always, by Ash, my co host. Ash, how have you been?
I've been good. Rare Spurs win for once. Decent weekend. I'm happy. I'm happy that football is happening very soon again. So very excited.
Yeah, yeah, it was an absolute gold fest of a weekend, right? Like almost, I think every game had at least 4 goals, except for the
Except for the
Spurs
Spurs
Everton game.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and honestly, Beth England could have made it like 5-1 easily, but we'll obviously come to that. But before we get started, we just want to remind all of you once again to subscribe to our channel. We are at 297, so it'll be nice to hit that 300 mark. And do comment on our videos. We love hearing from you. Like our videos as well. All of it really helps with the visibility for the channel. But Ash, before we get started, the other thing that I want to get out of the way is the production quality of the WSL.
Yeah.
My God, this weekend, I know that there's been a storm happening in England, and I know conditions are tough as it is for the players. I'm sure even the camera persons are like struggling with it a little bit. But my God, I was watching that Chelsea Brighton game, and every 7 minutes, this guy would bring out a cloth and wipe the lens, and it feels it felt like somebody was wiping my face, and I was watching the game with my girlfriend, and like we were at one point sort of trying to guess uh like who, like when he would wipe the lens, like just as it gets really bad, you can't tell what is happening on the pitch
Yeah.
at all. That is when we'll be like, oh, in the next 5 seconds sort of a thing,
Yeah,
and
we
it
should
would
just
almost
make
be.
it we should make a drinking game out of it.
Listen, all of us would have been sloshed. Like, I mean, we would have died of alcohol poisoning. That's how many times he wiped that lens. And also, like, okay, fine, the camera stuff, it's it's not understandable, but fine. But if you look at the game that happened at the Emirates, there was no commentary for the first, like, I don't know, like for the first 9 minutes or so, and then it came back out, and I wanna. Oh yeah, I'm quoting my sister verbatim here, and then in the 39th minute, the commentary has come on, but the commentator sounds like he's inside a tunnel. He sounds as if he's next to someone with pneumonia and commentating through a Pringles can. So to all you fine Arsenal fans, I hope you enjoyed that experience. But on a serious note, though, like, listen, if you want your product to sell, and we've heard multiple times from Nikki who said that it needs to happen, like you cannot have such subpar quality. Like if your product needs to sell, it needs to be of good quality. Otherwise, it'll just deter people from like actually engaging with it.
Yeah.
Oh, just yeah, I think we haven't ranted about this in a while.
Yeah, and the thing is that uh it just produces a very different experience going to the stadium and then watching the game, because like there are times when you don't even understand the formation of the team, or like where the players are standing or anything like that about the game, simply because the camera is just too focused in, or it's too focused out, or and I'm just like, just hire someone who does this right. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah, like it's very annoying because like for some reason they think it's important to just follow the ball, focus. But
Yeah.
you know as it is, when you're not on the, like, you're not at the stadium, you already don't you can't catch all the off ball work that happens, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
in situations like this, you absolutely cannot see anything about apart from like the five players around the ball, like nothing else. For the first like 20 minutes, I was sat there wondering if Brighton were playing a back three or a back four because I couldn't tell, and it's very very embarrassing. But I don't know if that says more about my football knowledge or about the camera work, but I will leave it at that and not embarrass myself further. But you know what, Ash? Let's get started with the first fixture of Sunday evening. That was Manchester United versus Liverpool, which finished 4-0. Goals from Turland in the 33rd minute, Leah Galton in the 34th minute, Dominique Janssen in the 59th, and Melvin Mallard in the 81st. I know you sort of watched this game fairly closely. So tell me, from the previous game that United played against Chelsea, how did things look different? How did they fare in that game?
Honestly, this game was such a letdown, like especially because considering the historical rivalry between these two clubs, and like in my head, United and Liverpool should be around the same level. Maybe United edging it a little bit, but like Liverpool were totally outclassed. Like Liverpool really need to figure out their attack because Olivia Smith was barely able to get a pass in, let alone get into the game with the United defense sort of crowding her out. You know, um, I will say the first goal from United was slightly fortunate because it fell very fortunately to Turland. However, like after that, United just looked like a different team. Like I think they look like a different team when there is a in the game against Chelsea, there was no central focal point because Rachel Williams was never like in and around, considering her age and fitness and everything. And it's just useful to have a focal point to cross the ball into, despite the fact that Turlen just come back from injury and it didn't look like she was like really in it either. And I will have to say, Clinton and Galton seem to be developing an understanding between the two, like between each other's, like when they're switching up play in the final third. So I think that's going to be very useful for United. But like I think the one thing that everyone is ignoring and I want to call attention to is Gabby George. So her cross in for the Janssen goal, that was in the 59th minute, summed up her literally her entire game because she was constantly looking to turn defense into attack, like very progressive, great passing, great crossing, excellent pressing. And I genuinely think that despite United's convincing performance, like she's absolutely wasted on United because, like in a more attacking setup like Chelsea or City, she would be absolutely phenomenal. Like I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, I agree. I think Gabby George is, she's just come back from her ACL and she's having like a good season. She even got an England call up, and to be honest, that left back position is a little thin for England.
Yeah.
Um, for the Euros and for the World Cup, they played Rachel Daly there, who was basically a striker. And I mean, she can play anywhere, but she's predominantly a striker, or that's what Carla
Yeah.
Watt said. She said she sees Rachel Daly as a number nine. And now you have Neve Charles who's there, and Serena in the last year has preferred Neve Charles in the position, but there is no real backup in that position. Say if Neve Charles gets injured, so there's honestly, like, I feel like if Gabby George continues her performance, and she stays fit, I'm very sure she's going to get that Euros call up. Yeah. Um, I think the other thing that I wanted to flag off about Liverpool is, I don't know, Matt Beard has like once again said injuries. And listen, I looked at the squad, I looked at the subs list, and there were like five subs or six subs,
Yeah.
which obviously shows us how thin that squad is. Um, but and Marie Hobinger was also missing, which I think was a big miss for
Yeah,
them. Like
she's
she's
injured.
always hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's going to be out for like the next 6 weeks or so. So that's a big worry for Liverpool, and I honestly wonder if they'll make some kind of January transfer because it's an opportunity for them. And to be honest, I mean, a club as big as Liverpool should be investing in their team, especially when their squad is so thin. You know, you
Yeah.
said you see Manchester United and Liverpool as like, big teams in the WSL, but, I feel like um, I think with the caliber of players that they already have and a coach like Matt Beard, I think they definitely deserve some transfer, like some more, like some parts of the pitch that they need to strengthen, and they
Yeah.
really need to bring players in. Yeah,
Yeah. And like injuries can't be an excuse to lose 4-0. Like if they'd lost like 3-2 or 3-1 or something, then you're like,
yeah,
okay, fine. Like they have injuries, the midfield is not functioning properly. United are controlling the game and the tempo. Even when Liverpool had the ball, it looked like United were in control.
yeah,
So it just at that point it just becomes an absolute like decimation.
yeah.
It's not like injuries can only go so far into explaining there's something wrong tactically about that, eh, about their patterns of play.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, um coming on to the next game, which was City versus Leicester, which was also 4-0. Shaw scored a brace in the second minute and 29th minute. She just looked unstoppable. Park scored in the 49th minute, and then Fowler in the 58th minute. Uh, Kai, what did you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, this is like probably the only game in the weekend that I very reluctantly watched because we all knew how it was going to turn out. I think we said so in the preview. Um, Honestly, in the first 30 minutes, it was very disheartening to see that Shaw scored both goals from headers, and they were both pretty much free headers. And you know, like Leicester is a team that's, see, I'll say this: Bunny Shaw is not an easy striker to defend against. And
Yeah,
Leicester has been a team that's proved that they can defend well. That's been the what do you say, the punchline this season, right? Like Leicester are not scoring, but they're also not conceding. And fair enough, you concede 4 goals to Man City, but the manner in which especially the first Bunny Shaw goal was conceded, and the second minute one was just poor defending from Leicester. I will say
yeah,
the other 2 goals, Jess Park's goal, man, it just, oh, the way it was such a well worked goal, back to
yeah,
front, and it was a lovely through ball, and like Park just peeled off the centre backs and like just crashed into the box and finished it. And it was a lovely goal. But in general, I thought, from the last block of games, City's attack looked a lot more fluid. And
yeah,
this time, like I felt like their fullbacks, Wahabi and Kirsten Kasperai, I felt like they made some really crucial overlapping runs that like Leicester just couldn't deal with it at all.
yeah,
They just couldn't control those wide areas. And from a Leicester standpoint, I think it is very worrisome. um, it's there's a bit of experimentation going on there because they've obviously lost Rantala, their striker, and also the other striker that they had brought in. I think they lost to ACL injury. So basically, there is obviously like a dearth of personnel in that position. So Miguel is kind of experimenting a little bit. Takarada played up top, and um, I thought Momiki had some really good moments, especially in transition. I thought she played some really nice passes, which just like Leicester, into the final third that Leicester just couldn't capitalize on. Um, like right now, basically where we are at is Leicester and Crystal Palace are at the same points, 5 points, with just goal difference separating the two, right? And for me, Leicester look the least impressive team in the league right now
yeah,
because you just need to score goals. If you're not scoring goals, I don't know how you're going to manage the situation. Like, fair enough, you want to be defensively solid, and they have been defensively solid. Like I said, conceding 4 goals to United is fine, whatever. Like,
to City.
sorry, to City are a big team, and they're just like so uh, strong going forward as well. But Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like a damning indictment
Yeah,
of
yeah.
self-defense or anything, but yeah, again, another team. I wonder if they'll make some, um, you know, put some money in the January transfer window. I think they desperately need a focal point if they need to like stay up, because so far I think Palace and even Everton look a lot better going forward than um, Palace definitely look a lot better going
Yeah,
forward.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
I will say, like even defensively, like they just gave City too much time. Like they were not challenging them whatsoever. Like there was this point, I think, for the second goal where Fujino kind of lost the ball, and I think Wahabi or someone got the ball and then crossed it in for the Bunny Shaw. Like
yeah.
there was no Leicester player around them. Like I'm just like, why are you giving City so much time that Fujino can lose the ball? Like Wahabi can recover the ball, have the time to put a good cross in, and have Bunny Shaw's head connect to it. Like you don't even have to protect against Bunny Shaw. Stop this from happening. The cross from coming in at
Yeah,
all. Like it
exactly.
wasn't like I understand being narrow and crowding out like the final third in a low block or whatever, but like this was ridiculous. Like they had too much time on the ball. So I do think that just defensively also, like that could
Yeah,
have been improved on. I understand that they came to lose, like the idea was that we're going to lose, but like still you
yeah.
have to try.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the thing, no. Like somewhere I feel like I'm not really sure about what the plot is anymore for Leicester. It's been 9 weeks, and they lost Yuta Rantala pretty early in the season. Now, yeah, even like the fact that you're not like trying to win those first balls, second balls, like none of that. It is a serious problem, and I don't know. I'm definitely concerned about Leicester. But let's move on. Let's move on to your favorite game of the weekend, I'm sure, Spurs versus Everton, finishing 2-1 to Spurs, a brace from Beth England in the 25th minute, and a very soft penalty. I don't even know how that was a penalty in the 48th minute, but an absolute stunner from Sarah Hongard as well for Everton. Ash, tell me, I know you've had like a rough few weeks, like a rough set of fixtures in the last block, right, with Spurs.
Yeah.
So Everton, a more manageable opponent. How do you think Spurs did in this game?
The I will say the penalty was definitely like it was a full steel penalty. Like I do not know how it was given. And like they didn't even show the replay. I think even they were like, "This is so suspect. We can't show the replay." But whatever, it was given. It was a crime. It was scored. But in that sense, Spurs were fortunate to have won the game despite having 58% possession and on most of the chances. But like I will take a lot of positive signs from this game because it was perhaps Spurs' best midfield performance. Like I think the return of a fully fit Raso brought out the best in Ash Neville, with Spence sort of joining the party. And like the two of them, like Neville and Raso, were just like bombing down the wing with cute little one-twos that just like brought joy to every Spurs fan watching. I was just so happy. And I will say that while Spurs were convincingly won that midfield battle, like Spence and Subhanan also had really good games. Um, and Everton were not looking threatening for most of the game apart from like their goal. And apart from the last 10 minutes, which were slightly cagey. Um, like Spurs really need to be more clinical in front of goal. Like, like defensively, I never expect the best from Spurs, but the goal they conceded, the only goal they conceded was an amazing pass from Snoyes, which I don't blame Spurs too much for. But like in front of goal, like Beth England must have had like at least three goal scoring opportunities in the first half. And like literally, there is not a head I trust more than the England head in the Spurs team. Like I just do not know how she didn't score more
Yeah.
goals. And like with Martha Thomas, I think she had a good opportunity in the second half as well. And I really need her to break her goal drought. Like it's been a year without scoring now. It's about time. And like there's only so much the midfield can do, if your strikers just aren't scoring. But I will say this, like the more traditional 4-4-2, I think I preferred it as a formation because it helped us to control the midfield better. Because like Raso was also sort of like inverting in, like cutting into the midfield, and so it really just helped us to crowd out the Everton midfield. And another positive is Mete Oroz also made an appearance, so I'm very happy that key players are coming back to full
Yeah.
fitness.
Yay. Nice.
Yay! Anyway, from my beloved Spurs to your beloved Chelsea.
Yeah.
Chelsea won 4-2 against Brighton. Clearly, the unbeatable run continues. You must be happy about that. Nuskin scored in the 35th and the 91st minute in extra time. And Beaver Jones scored in the 40th minute, and Canarid in the 51st minute. For Brighton, Kankovic scored in the 43rd minute, and Seke scored in the 71st minute. Uh,
Yes.
what did you
Are
think,
you out of breath
Chelsea?
yet?
My God, too
Uh,
many goals.
yes. Uh, listen, it was a shit performance. uh, um, it was it was a very classic post international break Chelsea performance. Like
Yeah.
their heads were still back in their hometowns with their families type of energy. But you know what? It was a fun game to watch, despite the cloth hitting my face, or at least feeling like the cloth is hitting my face every 5 minutes. It was very end to end, and um, there was just lots of errors from both teams. I was checking the XG, and I think Chelsea were at a 4.2, and Brighton were at a 2.7 or something. Like, so like very high, like good quality chances. And by quality, you mean like, turnovers that just happened in the six-yard
Yeah.
box. And then like people missing it. And the difference, I guess, is that Chelsea managed to convert them and Brighton did not.
Yeah.
Paris, like very early on in the game, like Nuskin got dispossessed and Paris just like fully skied that shot. And,
Yeah.
my heart was in my throat, to be honest. And Brighton had a couple of good turnovers, like in dangerous areas. But, the best, I think it was just fun because, Vidicic has very clearly said, oh, this is the way we want to play. So we will stick to it no matter what. And I mean, Chelsea did not look any better playing out from the back. I'll tell you that much. Um, and you know, the thing that I loved about Brighton's energy, and I generally have been loving the season, is like even if they go a goal down, a couple of goals down, because Chelsea were 2-0 up, like almost close to half time, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, Jankovic scored in the 43rd minute. So, um, and Brighton were pushing so hard, and they're just like, oh, we've conceded, chin up, let's go again. And I love seeing that attitude from a team like Brighton. And
Yeah.
you can tell that like the players believe in what this coach is offering, and that is
Yeah.
always exciting to see. um I thought Brighton's midfield was definitely better. Chelsea could not control the tempo of the game at all.
Yeah.
Erin Cuthbert, I don't think, had a very good game. Nuskin was slightly better, but again, like both of them getting dispossessed at different points.
Hey, she scored a brace. Like,
She scored two goals, yes, and that I will agree with. And the funny thing is, Bompastor also, said the same thing. We because Hannah Hampton I think for the second Brighton goal passed straight to like a Brighton player, and then Seke scored. So, and I think she was asked in the press conference about what she thinks, and her spiel was the same. She's like, "I want my players to be brave, etc., etc." But the reality is, when we were like 3-1 up, she brought in Myra Ramirez because we wanted to start going long and have somebody hold the ball up because
yeah.
both of us knew this is not working. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But you know what? the for the first Chelsea goal, was it the first one? Yeah, first Chelsea goal. Like I was sitting with my favorite Brighton fan. I was waxing lyrical about Yelena Jankovic. I was like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jankovic is
Yeah.
like a very underrated player. She's very press resistant. She never loses a ball. Extremely good passing. And then like 10 seconds later, she gets dispossessed, and we score our first goal. And I was just like, oh my god. And she wanted to kill me. She was like, you
Yeah.
are lying to me.
You are the jinx.
Yeah, but no, but you know what? She more than made up for it with,
Yeah, yeah.
Brighton's
I
first
thought that
goal.
she was one of the best players for Brighton.
Yeah. So
And
Jankovic, and also like I felt like Olislagers, who I've been waiting for to see her kind of like shine in a game. I've been keeping my
yeah.
eyes peeled. I don't know. I just like her name. I know nothing else
Yeah.
about her. And I've been sort of trying to see, her like having a good game. And I thought this was one of her better games. I thought she was very present in the game and caused a lot of problems in the Chelsea midfield. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, I like that Vidush basically went. We are the underdogs. Most people don't expect us to win this game. Just go out and play. And like I enjoy the bravery of that, because
Yeah.
most people would not back Brighton to win against Chelsea, and so it's fine that they lost. But like at the same time, I just appreciate the fact that there's goals everywhere. Like in this game, Kankovic scored, Seke scored. Other games, Parish has scored. Like just goals have come from everywhere.
Yeah.
And I
They've
just
had McLaughlin score from centre back.
yeah,
You remember a
yeah,
strike from.
exactly, exactly. Like I'm just like, this is the way like a team performance is constructed. Like I love Brighton as a team, and this game
Yeah.
was very entertaining for the neutral, with the number of dispossessions that were happening in the midfield, misplaced passes, all of that.
Yeah.
It wasn't like boring snooze fest misplaced passes like the Chelsea United game. This was just
Yeah.
like barrage tactical great genius game. Like it was
Yeah,
great.
yeah, it was. It was. I think Brighton's press. I mean, both teams pressing caused the other team's problems. It was very obvious.
Yeah, yeah,
How clearly how intensely they had worked on cutting off those passing networks, like off the pitch as well, and then executing it on the pitch. But maybe they should have like maybe paid attention to the other team's press as well at some point to see how to beat it. But yeah, I mean, from a Chelsea perspective, I think the backline issues are a bit worrying, but Baltimore is injured, and so Ashley Lawrence came in and she did not help. Like she just looked so stodgy. Like she couldn't hold on to the ball, she couldn't progress the ball, so there was no out ball on that left hand side, and it was clearly a problem. And so she got subbed out at halftime, and it was so exciting. Like speaking of players coming back from injury, very very excited to see Neve Charles come back, and I genuinely think we looked a lot better with Neve Charles at left back. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see, I had forgotten how good Neve Charles is because she's not played all season. She got injured in preseason, and in my head, I was thinking, oh, Baltimore might like pick her to that position,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
um, but when I looked at like Neve Charles played, and she's not played in months now. Um, to see the confidence with which she's playing and how composed she was, positionally how good she was. Yeah, I just got reminded of how good Neat Charles can be, and I'm very very excited for her to come back. Yeah. Um, anyway, from one goal fest to the next, um, West Ham versus Palace. We thought this was going to be a snooze fest, and they said, "Shut up, both of you! Shut up, all about the W. Sit down, because we'll show you how fun football at the Chigwell Construction Stadium can be." It is really funny. Anyway, I think Totally Wicked Stadium and Chigwell Construction Stadium, best names. Anyway, goals from Gale and India Page Riley for Crystal Palace, Vivian Asai for West Ham in the 17th minute, Pubel in the 36th minute, Pavi in the 44th minute, Anup Denton in the 82nd minute, and Katrina Gori in the 90th minute, 92nd minute in stoppage time. All right. Tell us all about this game. how fun it
My
was.
God, what a fun game. I'm so glad I was watching this game. So, like, this game was like it was a lot closer than the scoreline suggests. You know, like 5-2 seems like it was a West Ham dominant performance. That's not what it was. And like I'm noticing a pattern now with Palace. Like they seem to start really brightly and they press energetically for about like 20 minutes or so. But then they just seem to like flag off and lose the plot a little bit. And I'm wondering if it's just a drop off in the second half from the subs or if it's a more key fitness issue. Because even in the first half, like for the first 20 minutes or so, they looked great. And then it just like looked a little bit slow and stodgy in the after that. And because of that, I feel like they're unable to hold on to their leads. Like they've lost a lead fairly often now in the WSL. And so for like this first 12 minutes, Palace were like winning every second ball. They kept pressing West Ham high up and causing West Ham to like lose possession. But then the first goal happened for West Ham in the 17th minute, and everything changed. Like, if there are any children or beginners to football watching on how to construct a team goal from start to finish, then this is the goal you should watch. Like, nobody did anything fancy, just one touch, accurate passing from goalkeeper to striker, with Asai making the run to bed it in for sure. And like for a team that's accused of being a Katrina Gori team, Skinner should take heart from this team goal, I think. And I do think that West Ham looked like a different team once they realized that they could play through the Palace press, as long as they passed quickly and kept it simple. So like apart from this first goal, everything else was scored on the counter, or
Mm,
through disposition in transition. And like I genuinely believe Palace were in it at least till the fourth goal. In like maybe
mm,
not to win it, but at least to draw it, like till the fourth goal in the 82nd minute, because like they had several chances. I mean, to
yeah.
be fair, so did West Ham. Shea Yanis did pull off a few good saves, particularly in the first half. But like at the starting of the second half, looked like it was all Palace for a little while, and I really thought that they would equalize. They just needed that one killer pass that didn't happen for them.
Yeah, no, I agree because the little bit that I watched, I think I watched till the end of the first half, and I genuinely felt like Palace were causing West Ham a lot of problems. There was a lot of dispossessing each other in dangerous areas. It was
Yeah.
like not from passing out from the back or anything, but just through good pressing, and yeah, it certainly did look like a very exciting game. I think I'll catch up on this over this week at some point because yeah, I mean, I feel like I have not personally paid enough attention to West Ham as a team. Like Palace, yes, I have because they're like the team that's come up, so I've been very curious. West Ham, I have no hope, but clearly the scoreline suggests otherwise. So I
Yeah.
will definitely catch up on this game. Yeah,
No, they'll definitely stay up West Ham. I don't think that's
yeah,
like that. There are way worse teams than West Ham in this league.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Anyway, uh, so the final game of the weekend was Arsenal versus Villa. Russo in the 18th minute, and in the 94th minute, Beth Mead in the 39th minute, and Sina Blackstenius in the 70th minute. I think I'll just speak a little bit about what I thought of this game.
Yeah, I didn't
I
even
mean,
see
I
the
was,
game. I have
yeah.
not even seen the highlights. I have no clue what happened. I'm like, Arsenal, I don't care. I'm not watching.
You know what though? So this is the issue, right? Like when we have like six fixtures in a day and there are
Yeah.
so many overlapping fixtures, like the fatigue is so high. Like it's so much better if there are two games on Saturday or one on Friday,
Yeah.
one on Saturday and Sunday, because otherwise it's really tough. It's not like we're going across England to watch it. We're still at home,
Yeah. Yeah.
but one still gets fatigued a little bit. But um yeah, Villa looked good for like 15 minutes. They looked like they were in the game. They had a couple of chances. I think one that did hit the back of the net, which was called offside. But after that, they were just bad. They were just. I personally think this might have been Villa's worst performance of the season. Um, they had zero shots on target. Ebony Salmon got a start over Gabby Nunes. I don't know if it's like a managing minutes thing because the commentator was saying, talking a little bit about how Nunes has had a lot of injury problems in the past, so that could be one of the reasons. But Ebony Salmon obviously scored that late winner against Palace, so she, I think, deservedly got a start over Nunes. And also Kyra Cooney Cross finally started for Arsenal. But you know what? Like it was definitely like a game that was, yeah, it was very one-sided. Credit to Arsenal, man. I hate to say it, but they just looked
Yeah.
so good going forward. Uh, the build-up for that second goal was just beautiful. It was just one touch, classic Arsenal. Beth Mead, of course, had to finish it. Like it came off the post and she had to tap it in. But it was lovely movement from the entire team. It was super fluid, and I think that midfield of Cooney Cross, Monum, and Caldente, Mariona, that worked really well. They were
Yeah.
that midfield was strong, and like Villa midfield was absolutely absent. And Villa did try to go over the midfield. I feel like they kind of recognized that, okay, playing through this midfield is not happening for us, so let's try and go over them. And they do that from time to time. They try to use Chastity Grant space to kind of bypass the midfield. Even that didn't quite pay off for them. But from an Arsenal standpoint, I'm just really intrigued by this centre back pairing of Leah Williamson and Steph Catley. Steph Catley usually plays left back. Now she's playing the left side centre back. She's getting picked over Wubenmoy. Although Wubenmoy did come on at some point as a sub, maybe that's again an injury thing. But you know, um, the only thing I have to say about playing Arsenal is Leah Williamson is starting to look like her usual self.
Yeah.
And the amount of time Villa gave Leah to pick out a pass and her passes, she makes these beautiful line breaking passes, that just starts the attack for Arsenal. And the number of times she's done that is absolutely insane. So to give a player like that much time on the ball, the prep you're doing is just very poor. It's just not done. I feel like every team that plays Arsenal knows that you cannot give Leah, or England, even England for that matter. You will see most teams trying to press Leah and press Kira Walsh. Like it's just something that works.
Yeah.
So it was a bit disappointing, but and I think also from like a Villa perspective, I'm a little unsure about why Kenza Dali is not starting, because sometimes in
Mm.
games like this, what you need is that creative energy. And I really love Kirsty Hansen. I think she is an exceptional player. I really like Rachel Daly as well, but I'm not sure about this Rachel Daly playing in the midfield, this attacking midfielder number 10, whatever she's playing. I'm not really sure because I do think she's an excellent finisher, and Kenza Dali is probably the most creative player in their squad.
Supplier.
So yeah, so I don't know if it's a system thing, I don't know what it is, if it's an injury thing, but I would
Mm.
really like to see Kenza Dali get like a good run of games under the
Yeah.
bow and see how it goes. Yeah, I think that's about it from me about the Arsenal Villa game. It finished
I
4
mean,
nil.
I must say I haven't. I obviously didn't see the game, but I've been watching Arsenal in previous games, and I feel like they finally figured out where Caldente sits in that squad. Because that was where like the problem was happening because they were trying to play Caldente on the wings and it wasn't working out. And now they can just sort of like play her in the midfield, and she's just like a creative outlet for either Manam or Ford, and like that to me seems to work much better. So I feel like Slegers like deserves like this job now because she has solved so many problems, like
Yeah,
small problems that were happening, the goal scoring problem, where Caldente fits in, all these small things. She's just like figured it out, and I'm just like, where was this? She was assisted. Like was nobody listening to her? Did she not think of this before? But yeah, I'm
yeah.
just very happy I'm happy for her. I'm not happy that Arsenal won, but I'm happy for her.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think when you have a player with Mariona's like potential, it's really important to unlock that player and figure out where they sit in your
Yeah.
squad, because otherwise it's such a waste. And I think even the fact that Kyra Cooney Cross has started, I know Leah Walty is injured, Kim Little is not injured, but Cooney Cross getting that start um, over Kim Little, I thought was very, very important, because
Yeah.
she is an exceptional player. She's such like, she was one of my favorite players, like that Gory Cooney Cross connection in the Australian team in the 2023 World Cup was one of my favorite things to watch. And she's again like a very, very important creative player in that midfield. But you know what? I will still say this. I'm happy for Rennes Slegers, but I'm also just cautiously optimistic, because um, the like Villa are not a team that sits back. They are relatively open, so we know that Arsenal can perform. We saw that against Brighton as well. Like Brighton don't
Yeah.
sit back, so it'll be an interesting test to see how Matt Beard approaches that game against Arsenal next week, and how Arsenal kind of respond to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of next week, let's quickly do the prediction. Ash,
Right.
I'll start. Leicester versus Chelsea at the King Power
Uh,
Stadium.
it's going to be a decimation. I'm going to go 4-0 Chelsea.
Oh, I think it's going to be very blah, and I think it's going to be like 3-1 Chelsea. And no,
No
Leicester
clean
not
sheet.
score. No,
Come
Leicester.
on.
Okay, Leicester won't score. Okay, 2-0 Chelsea. 2-0 Chelsea. That's my final. Brighton versus Spurs. Fun one.
Oh my god, I'm going to go draw 2-2.
Hmm. You know what? I think Spurs are gonna edge this one. 2-1 Spurs.
Are you just going Spurs because I went Chelsea?
Hmm. No, 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 no. I'm just, I'm just thinking like, this last game would have taken a lot out of Brighton.
Yeah.
It wasn't an easy game, and it's not like
Yeah.
they folded. They performed really well. I honestly thought Brighton were like the better team for like
Yeah.
large portions of that game. So maybe it's just the mental toll that takes on you.
Yeah.
I maybe it's enough for Spurs to like maybe eke out a win. Everton versus Man City.
Another decimation, I think. 3-0 City.
I'm gonna say 6-0 City.
Wow.
Yeah. Aston Villa versus West Ham.
This could be interesting, especially considering West Ham's newfound confidence on the counter. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go three. You know what? 3-2. No, Aston Villa's at home, right? I'm 3-2 Aston Villa.
Okay, I'm gonna go 2-1 West Ham. Palace versus United.
Palace versus United. I'm gonna go 2-1 United.
I'm gonna go 2-2 draw.
Ooh,
I'm just
nice.
manifesting it. Let's see. Maybe that'll see Skinner leave. Liverpool versus Arsenal.
This I think is the best fixture. Actually, no,
How?
Spurs Brighton. Spurs Brighton are the best
Yeah,
fixture.
we just saw Liverpool like fully mess up
No, but they'll
against.
come back from that. No, like I'm sure they're not going to be like, oh, we're going to lose 4-0
I've been
again.
waiting for a Liverpool comeback all season. Now I've given up hope.
Yeah.
ठीक है, हाँ,
I'll go 3-1 Arsenal.
3-1 Arsenal. Okay. I'm gonna go 2-0 Arsenal. Yeah. I don't think Liverpool are gonna score. Yeah. That's like the last game of this block, right? And then you have the Christmas, or like the winter break, or whatever you call it. Anyway, we'll wrap up our episode now, everyone. Again, a reminder to please subscribe to our channel, please leave some comments, and we will catch you on the next episode with our review for game week 10. Until then, bye bye.